What's up everybody, it's LusterPurgePink here, and today we're back with another challenge video. It's been a hot minute since I've done one of these, and with the crazy amount of demand for another, and with the plethora of suggestions in the comments of the previous videos, I figured I'd pop off and make another one. So, enjoy. I dug through all the suggestions to see what challenges you guys were asking for, and I compiled them all into a document. A particular one that caught my attention was, well, the one in the title of this video. Can Budew beat Pokémon Platinum? It was suggested by commenter bruh. Thank you so much for the support, and I will try to do your challenge justice. Now, Budew is a pretty weak Pokemon with an awful level up learn set, so I was instantly attracted to it. Not only that, but a lot of the gyms, Team Galactic, and the League itself have quite a few counters and or resistances to grass types, but I'll talk about that later. Let's lay out some basic rules for this challenge before we begin. I cannot use any other Pokemon besides Budew in battle, with the exception of double battles, but I'm sure you know the drill by now. I cannot use items in battle besides held ones, as this would simplify the challenge way too much. I cannot use pickup. If you watch my other challenge videos, which you absolutely should, little shameless plug there. You know that I don't use pickup because I feel like having other Pokemon do a part of the work hurts the integrity of a mono Pokemon challenge. That's pretty much it. So without running the risk of rambling too long, let's get into the challenge. Rowan is the professor of this game, and he introduces us to the world of Pokemon, as it is customary in every game of the main series. Apparently, he's caught dementia from Professor Oak during his trip in Kanto because he cannot for the life of him figure out if we're a boy or a girl. We picked the girl because obviously the girl designs are always superior to the male in the Pokemon games, so then we name her Rival. I name him after the handle of the commenter who suggested this challenge, so we got a rival named Bruh. Excellent. We find ourselves in front of the TV, you know, as all great adventures begin. Bruh runs into our room completely uninvited and tells us he wants to go ask Professor Rowan for a Pokemon. Dude, the special just went off. How did you get here so fast? Anyway, we have to go, or else our great-grandchildren will be paying off our debt to him. We head to his house, barge into his room, and then head out of Twin Leaf Town. Bruh tries to run into the grass like a complete moron and is stopped by Professor Rowan. Rowan yells at the both of us, even though I was just standing there. Are you serious? I didn't do anything! You know, normally scenes in Pokemon games that were changed from the original version of the game tend to be better, but this one is just annoying and anticlimactic. The original had us in a dire situation that made us feel like we could have our eyes pecked out by Starly at any moment. But this was just a stupid kid doing stupid things and being stopped. Was the original scene too intense? I don't get it. Whatever. We get our Pokemon from Rowan. I used the universal randomizer to replace Turtwig with Budew so that Bruh would get Chimchar to up the challenge a bit. Now, it's a matter of resetting for the proper nature. That being modest, a special attack increasing nature that also decreases attack, as physical moves won't be a thing in this challenge. Well, it isn't as simple as it is in most other Pokemon games. After receiving our Pokemon, Rowan and Lucas say a few words in about a 20-second cutscene. Bruh then runs up to us and challenges us to a battle. So we can just check our nature here, right? Well, for some reason, the Pokemon menu is disabled in this first fight, so we can't see Budew's nature until the battle is done. I was consistently losing this fight, the rare win coming from a stroke of luck when Chimchar uses Scratch and gets poisoned by Poison Point. Luckily though, this fight isn't mandatory to win, though it kinda sucks that our first battle of the game is nearly unwinnable without good RNG. It usually took about 4 to 6 turns to end the fight, which was more time added to the amount of time it took for a soft reset. Then afterward, Bruh teases us and we have to sit through our mom talking to us about what happened. I don't know about y'all, but I think the player character gets off a little too easy. Had it been my mom I disobeyed at that age, the scolding would have been the least I would have gotten. Seems like Joanna just lets us get away with murder. Good thing too, because we're about to destroy everything in our path. Well, when this whole minute or so ordeal gets through with and we can finally get the right nature. After resetting countless times and sitting through the cutscenes over and over, we finally get a modest nature. We also get Poison Point, which is nice, because Natural Cure does nothing for us in this challenge, as swapping would be against the rules. Though, frankly, I think that had I gotten Natural Cure instead, I wouldn't have even bothered resetting. We head to Sandgem Town, talk to Rowan, and we have the option to nickname our Budew. Alright, so we had Berry the Shuckle, Tabasco the Embor, Yoko the Togepi, and now... I was kind of drained for creativity here, so I went with the name Mildew. Get it? Mildew the Budew? Alliteration is the peak of comedy, apparently. After making a pit stop to talk to our mom, we're officially off. Lucas gives us the unnecessary catching tutorial, and we head north toward Jubilife. There are a couple of battles in our way. I was worried about this point in the game because Starly are prominent in trainers this early on, and I did not favor the idea of getting stuck on a trainer and having to grind. Luckily though, growth helped us to boost our special attack stat and in turn absorb into a decent offensive move, so the first few trainers weren't too much of a hassle. Also, Poison Point really helped us, as most, if not all moves used at this point in the game are physical, so that poison chip really helped. We get to Jubilife City and meet Looker. Wow, remember when he spoke with that weird, broken language and was a cute, quirky boy rather than an angsty, mysterious detective with a dark past? Where did that change in his narrative? Anyway, moving on. We talk to some clowns, get our Poketch, give a town map to Bruh, beat up some school kids, then head east towards Orberg. I'm finding that even though these early on fights are fairly simple, they take a lot out of Mildew. I find myself going back to the Pokemon Center after nearly every battle. This is a bit worrying for the rest of the game, but let's keep on moving. Before we can head to Orberg, we have a fight with Bruh. I've trained up a bit for this fight, knowing Bruh would now be carrying a Starly that would be annoying to deal with. The fight was easy, but again a bit tedious. I had Mildew paralyze Starly with Sunspore, which we had learned during our spot of grinding. Then I was able to set up growth for the special attack boost. With a little patience, Bruh's Pokemon were out. Battling some trainers in the area, we gained the move Mega Drain. This is an extremely valuable move for the run, and will be what I'm going to use until I can get access to Giga Drain. Though more powerful than Absorb, Mega Drain has less PP, and I find this screwed me over many times during the run, as it was my only attacking move for a while. Not even gonna put in all the times I, lost PP and then had to go back to the Pokemon Center after losing a fight. Arriving in Orberg, Bruh informs us that the gym leader is back in the mines. We head down to meet Rourke, who has his pickaxe swinging from side to side, smashing rocks and getting that cobblestone. He tells us that we too can learn this technique if we beat him in battle. Rourke's fight is a snooze fest as expected. The strategy is simple. Set up on his Geodude, then sweep the rest of his team. Cranidos could potentially be annoying if for any reason you're outsped, but I doubt that could happen if you trade up enough. With our first badge under our belt, we head back to Jubilife City where the professor is being harassed by the techno version of the Beetles. This is our first encounter with Team Galactic and will most certainly not be our last. We battle alongside Lucas, and here we see the first of many poison types, which will be very annoying during this run. This one is fine though. A simple stun spore and a few hits from combined attacks take them all down. With us now being able to smash rocks, we're able to destroy ones in the cave and head to Floroma Town, which is honestly one of my favorite towns in the series. With the sheer amount of cities and Pokemon, they sometimes tend to blend together, but Sinnoh has some of the most diverse environments in any Pokemon game, though was likely just an excuse to introduce the annoying honey mechanic in a more natural fashion. God save anyone who wasted their time trying to catch a female Combi. Heading towards Valley Windworks, we discover that the little girl's father has been taken hostage by Team Galactic. Unfortunately for her, this happened before she was old enough to get a Pokemon, so I have to save him instead. So you, an 8-year-old girl, are asking me, a 10 or 11-year-old girl, to rescue your father from terrorists? Sure, because that's how things work in this universe. After a couple of easy yet tedious battles with Team Galactic, we can finally access Valley Windworks and head in. I was worried about the battle with Mars, as she has a Zubat and a Purugly. This may not seem too threatening a pair, but when you only have a Budew, it is a little concerning. Her Zubat quad resists Mega Drain, and even with a bunch of growths up, we're still doing bad damage. Then Purugly, which is fully evolved, has access to Fake Out and some fairly good attacks. So yeah, for the early game, Mars is a little worrying. It takes multiple attempts with these problems present, but I eventually finished her off. I used some Stun Spore luck to set up with growth, and I was able to take her Zubat out in a couple of hits. With that down, her Purugly was next. I was cutting it super close, but in the end, a couple of Mega Drains and the help that came along with it pulled through. I even got a lucky poison at the end, which finished the fight. With the path to Eterna Forest no longer blocked up, we're able to head north. I unfortunately run out of PP on the way there and get KO'd by a Piplup. It sucks, and it's one of the many instances where Mega Drain having limited PvP screwed me over, but when we get fully healed, we're able to mow past the trainers and head into the Eterna Forest. One of the best parts about Sinnoh is the availability of partners such as Cheryl scattered throughout the region. This helps speed up grinding tremendously. Every time you encounter a Pokemon with a partner following you, you will get into a double battle, and that's already double the experience you'd get from a single battle. Not only that, but the partner also heals all your Pokemon to full health. Dang, it's just like Lily, but less useless. Just kidding. Lily is best girl. So on the way to Eterna City, I grind with Cheryl for a bit, as I know that Gardenia might be a bit of a challenge without being a few levels ahead of the game. This grinding, combined with the fishermen outside of Eterna and the gym trainers, puts us in the late 20s for the fight. First, I paralyzed her Turtwig and set up a little on it. Even if it had been able to move, there was still little it could do to me, as I quad resist grass moves with Mildew being a poison grass type. Afterward, it went down easy. I set up a bit more on her Cherub and was able to take down that one simply as well. Her Roselia was my main concern though. It sports the same advantage over grass types that I have, only it packs Poison Sting, which surpasses that resistance barrier and does neutral damage to Mildew. I tried to paralyze it, but Roselia unfortunately had the same idea. Though with some patience, I was able to get a Sun Spore off on her too, and from there, it was just a stall battle. With one attempt, the next badge is ours. I figure I might have over-prepared for this fight, though the next major battle of this game made me glad I did grind a bit. After getting the ability to use Cut, we can finally siege the Galactic building and put a halt to their occupation of the city. But one major roadblock sits in the way. Galactic Commander Jupiter. Zubats had been an annoying part of this challenge from the beginning, and now it gets worse. Not only does Jupiter have an annoying Zubat with wing attack, which does a large chunk of our health, but she's able to have a strong follow-up with Skunk Tank and its Night Slash attack. To make matters even worse, Skunk Tank is packing a Citrus Berry, which makes the fight even longer and gives Jupiter a chance to get more hits in. I attempted this fight numerous times, all without avail. Even if I managed to take down the Zubat, I still had Skunk Tank in my way, and no matter how many growths I set up, that behemoth just wasn't going down. I knew I had to grind more. I tried again at level 34 and still nothing. Even with an Oran Berry to regain just a little health that would hopefully turn the fight around, it was still painstaking to do. Zubat was still the worst, being quad resistant and having a super effective stab move. After consistently losing to that rat with wings, it was time for more grinding. Then, at 36, I finally managed to win. With some lucky paralysis hacks on my side, I was able to sufficiently set up on Jupiter's Zubat and take it down. Then, Skunk Tank was pretty straightforward. I hit it with a Stun Spore and kept using that Mega Drain, which was able to heal most of the damage Skunk Tank did. Then, the battle was over, and Team Galactic was out. As thanks for saving his Pokemon from being held hostage, the shopkeeper gives us a bike. Wow, thanks for actually giving us a reward. I didn't get anything from that dumb little girl back at the Windworks. I should have snatched that dumb bow right off her head. I would have looked cuter in it anyway. Cynthia stops us before we can leave Eterna. She gives us an egg, which I refuse to hatch. Sorry, Togepi. I have a feeling that you'll be getting your chance to shine elsewhere in the world. Psst. Check out the Togepi beating our Gold Soul Silver streams. You won't regret it. Now it's time to head towards Hearthome City. But first, we run into Cyrus in Mount Coronet. He talks to us for a good while about God knows what, and then pushes past us. Hey, have some decency. I'm just a little girl. I get you got a Napoleon complex because you're a manlet and all, but Jesus. Gosh, don't make those gentlemanly villain bosses like they used to, do they? Arriving in Hearthome, we see it's a nice city with plenty of options for every kind of trainer. Want to cook? Go make some puffins. Want to participate in contests? Head to the contest hall. Want to take your Pokemon for a what? Budew isn't on the list of cute Pokemon. This is discrimination. Just take a look at that adorable face. How dare you say no? It's not worth raising hell about though. We've got a bone to pick with the gym leader, Fantina. This gym had me worried because in Diamond and Pearl, Fantina really packs a punch with her Gengar and Drifblim, Pokemon that could easily blow Mildew back. But as it turns out, in Platinum, Fantina's team was nerfed due to being able to fight her as soon as you hit Hearthome. The Gengar was downgraded to a Haunter, and Drifblim was nowhere in sight. Using the Stun Spore and Growth trick I had persistently utilized to set up, I was easily able to get multiple special attack boosts and take out Duskull. Budew actually has decent special defense as well, so future sight wasn't a concern. The rest of her team goes down just as easily, and the Hearthome badge is ours. Before we can officially leave the city, we have another rival battle. This time, Bruh sports a more formidable team than ever before. His Starly is now a Staravia, and his Chimchar a Monferno. Staravia is more of a problem than Monferno, as they have Water Spout, which easily takes care of Monferno's firepower. As for Staravia though, it has Wing Attack, which is just as annoying as it was with Jupiter. The theme I found throughout this run is that there were two nuisances, Team Galactic and our rival. By the grace of God, I managed to win this fight. Staravia got in some good damage, but I was able to set up a sweep. Monferno nearly took me out, but luckily I was able to finish it off, and the rest of Bruh's team was simple as pie. After beating him, we continue to the east. We beat up a furry, and then finally get a chance to head to Salacian Town. Of course, it's a complete and utter boring podunk town, so we're headed to the big city instead. Veilstone, where seedy criminals run rampant, and for some reason, terrorist organizations can get their own building. To make things even worse, the only sign of defense in this town is an 11-year-old girl who knows karate. God, I love Pokemon. We find Lucas in front of the next gym. He defends himself against the accusation of having a gambling problem, even though I didn't say that. What is with people in this world and relentlessly defending themselves against a mute child who is neutral about everything? I just want to get to my next battle, man. So, even though Lucas is out of the way, I accidentally created a robot for myself. This was my bad. I was about to save state before Maylene when I accidentally clicked load instead, which sent me back to my previous state, all the way back to when I was exiting Hearthome. That was about 30 minutes to an hour of playtime down the drain. So, yeah, that sucks. Happens to the best of us sometimes, I suppose. But anyway, this time we actually do make it to Maylene, and it's time for us to show her a thing or two about butt kicking. Honestly, I didn't expect much from this gym, the extent of my worry being in Lucario, but it went down in a few hits, and with that, the next badge is ours. We step outside the gym for Lucas to inform us that Team Galactic has stolen his Pokédex. Dude, I know you sold it to them for more slot money. It's okay to admit you have a problem. Please seek some help. Instead of seeking out a therapist, he enlists us to come battle with him to get his Pokédex back. The fight is sort of annoying with Team Galactic having poison types on their side, but it's no big deal in the end. And wow, an AI partner is actually being useful for once. Lucas's Clefairy kept putting the opponents to sleep, so I wouldn't have to worry about the attacks. With a few hits, the battle is finished. For now, our business in Veilstone is wrapped up. We head down to Route 214 and keep going southwards towards Valor Lakefront. But first, we scoop up an important item, the Big Root. The Big Root increases the power of HP stealing moves, which our dear Mildew specializes in. Now it can pack more of a punch than ever before. Or drain. Doesn't have arms. On our way to Eterna City, we stop by Dr. Footprint's house. He specializes in feet, or reading the emotions of Pokemon through their footprints? Okay, I guess? He gives us a nice ribbon for Mildew to wear, but honestly, I don't know where the thing's been, and I don't think I want my Pokemon near it. After escaping that creep, we're finally in Pastoria, home of the Water-type gym. Should be a piece of cake, if not for the fact that Bruh is back with a vengeance. His Pokemon are now in the 30s, his annoying Staravia included. I attempted this fight several times and even had Mildew get to level 50, but it took forever to do. The attempt did come when I got lucky between Paralysis Hack and Mega Drain actually hitting, despite the several double team setups. After beating Bruh, we head to Crash Awake's gym. Finally, an easy task after what we just went through. As suspected, his gym is a walk in the park. A breath of fresh air, really. Even with a formidable Pokemon like Gyarados and his Floatzel having Ice Fang, the fight was still a pretty simple one. After chasing a dude with a bowl cut for a while, Cynthia stops us and gives us some Tylenol for the Psyduck that block our access to the rest of the game. This isn't out of the kindness of her heart, though. She wants us to deliver an item to her grandmother in Celestic Town, as she later reveals. So you're telling me that you're the champion of Sinnoh, and you don't have a Pokemon that can use Fly? Are you serious? No, better yet, I know you have a Togekiss. So what's the excuse, Cynthia? You're just too lazy? That's it? No wonder terrorists are running rampant in the streets, and it's a 10-year-old's job to stop them. Good God! We then head back towards Salacion and give the Psyducks the medicine. This route has always been annoying to me, mostly because I'm too lazy to get defogged. This is applicable to this run as well, so I'll just have to deal with Mildew getting blown back a couple of times. It's crazy how lazy people like me actually make things harder on themselves. Oh well, better than actually getting defog. We're not so different, you and I. Oh, shut up, Cynthia. A long road trip and a few detours later, we're in Celestic Town. I go to Cynthia's grandmother to give her the charm, but she complains about the beetles messing around. Now, I know rock music sounds scary, Granny, but I promise it's not satanic. You want to see some real satanic stuff? Just Google your granddaughter's name. After making quick work of Cyan He-Man, Cyrus shows up. And here, we have the first of a few battles with him. Let me tell you, every time I squared off with Cyrus in this run, I always had a bad time. His entire team basically walls Mildew. He starts off with a physical Sneasel, which is problematic because Budew's defenses are frankly terrible. Not only that, but Sneasel will sometimes use Screech, absolutely breaking down any chance of living an Ice Punch. To make things worse, his second Pokemon is Golbat. No matter how much you set up, it won't go down without at least 4 hits. Even if I can take the Sneasel down, I have to face this thing. Usually if I have survived Sneasel's wrath, Mildew has at the very least suffered at the hands of a Screech, which makes it vulnerable to Golbat's Poison Fang and Bite. Cyrus also finishes off the fight with a Murkrow, which mostly knows physical moves, including Drill Peck, which we are very weak to. As you can see here, I attempted this fight numerous times to no avail. Cyrus had me completely walled. I literally had to keep walking away from the computer because of this fight. I actually took a few days break because of this battle. I kept on going out and training after trying this battle a few times, but it was only by a miracle that I actually won. It was basically some lucky hacks with Poison Point and Spore. Sheer Force helped me to get through a Sneasel, and some lucky healing allowed me to sap more health for myself from it. Stun Spore allowed me to survive Golbat's wrath and let me set up a bit so that I could easily take it and his Murkrow out. It was honestly a bit clutch, as Murkrow had taken Mildew down to 1 hit point before healing himself. It was so relieving when I finally won, but it had scared me for the rest of the run. Cyrus was going to return later on with a vengeance, and I couldn't help but wonder if he was going to be a run-ender. But for right now, we are victorious. Cynthia's grandmother gives us Surf, and we're finally able to head to Galactic City. I was honestly looking forward to this place because we can take a boat to Iron Island from here, which is where Riley is, and walking with him functions similarly to how it did with Cheryl. I honestly take advantage of the partner system to speed up grinding in casual playthroughs, and here, it is essential. As long as you're willing to give up furry bait for the rest of your Sinnoh journey, Riley is a great partner to grind with. Before we can head there though, we have another battle with Bruh. Despite him walling Mildew with having a few good type advantages and using physical attacks, this fight surprisingly only takes a few attempts. Bruh leads off with Staraptor, which could easily take Mildew out with 2 Aerial Aces. But with some Stun Spore luck and Staraptor opting for Double Team instead, a couple of special attack boosted Mega Drains are able to take it out. Then his Infernape is next. One might think that this Pokemon is difficult, but surprisingly, with all the setup done on Staraptor, Infernape goes down easy. Heracross can potentially be scary with Aerial Ace on its side, but with our sweep setup, it is fainted quickly. Floatzel doesn't even stand a chance, and Roserade, though stally for Mildew, goes down after a few hits. Good thing Bruh didn't heal his Pokemon though. We only had 1 power point left for Mega Drain, and it would not have been pretty if we had wasted it. With Bruh taken care of, Iron Island is now accessible, though I opt to go to the Canalave Gym first, just to test the waters. For the most part, the gym trainers are simple, seeing as to how Mildew is over 20 levels ahead of them. But when I ran into an Ace Trainer Scissor, things got sticky. Scissor quad resists grass moves because of its steel and bug typings, and it also sports X Scissor, which absolutely wrecks Mildew. Beating this Ace Trainer is also a requirement to get to Byron, so skipping it is out of the question. I didn't even attempt this fight a second time, knowing that I would have to grind if I had a hope of beating this thing without luck. So it's Iron Island time. Riley wants to protect the place from Team Galactic, but that would mean he would leave, so we kind of gotta let them do their own thing for the sake of grinding. After getting up 10 levels there, we return to Canalave to take on the Steel-type gym again. The Scissor fight is easier now, though it takes a few tries to get the sufficient hacks to take the Scissor down, but once it is, the path to Byron is cleared, and we're raring to go. Byron is an easy fight that we probably didn't need to grind for. Set up on his Magneton, take it down with a few Mega Drains. His Steelix goes down in 1 hit due to grass doing neutral damage to it, and us being a couple of levels up in special attack. The only thing that could make this fight difficult is if his Bastidoon lives its 2nd hit and gets both Metal Bursts off, which would have effectively knocked out Mildew. But we were lucky enough to get a crit, and we don't have to worry about facing Byron twice. Bruh is waiting outside for us and informs us that Rowan wants to see us at the library. Nothing too important comes from this conversation, though he tells us that he wants us to investigate the lakes of Sinnoh. Conveniently, a bomb goes off exactly in the vicinity of where we were told to go. There's only so much I can suspend my disbelief, Game Freak. Instead of being a rational adult and saying, "Your children, don't go where the terrorists are," Rowan actually demands us to go check out what happened. But it's okay, he tells us not to get in over our heads. That's totally gonna stop anything bad from happening to us. Instead of running home to our mother, we follow his orders and head on towards Lake Valor. There are a bunch of Magikarp just flopping around on the ground. Wow, shows you how much of them there actually are in these lakes. Now, just imagine the amount of Zubats if they would have done this in a cave. After battling through some grunts, we reach Saturn, Team Galactic's third commander. This fight is easy, seeing as to how we're, a good 30 or so levels above his Pokemon. Paralyze Golbat and set up a bit, take it down, and then his Bronzor goes down in 2 hits, and finally, his Toxicroak. At first glance, this thing looks scary, but in reality, it really can't do too much to Mildew. It goes down with 2 hits as well. Saturn leaves, and we join Rowan and Lucas at Lake Verity. Mars taunts Lucas and I about being some lovey-dovey couples to the rescue. Look, Lucas is just a friend, and hardly that. I barely even talk to the guy. Also, he's far too young for me. I like my men older. Mars doesn't care though and attacks us anyway. She has the same team as Saturn, replacing the Toxicroak with her Purr Ugly. This fight isn't nearly as annoying as it was before, and using a similar strat as I did with Saturn, she goes down easily. This chick needs to calm down though. Comb your hair and take a nap, please. With Team Galactic driven out of Lake Verity, Lucas, Rowan, and I regroup. Rowan actually expressed his fear for Bruh. Wow, just a minute ago you were telling me to go to the site of a bomb explosion, and now you're expressing worry for children? Alright dude, your priorities are way out of whack. So now it's our job to head to the northernmost part of Sinnoh to rescue Bruh. Our next badge is there anyway, so we might as well. The road to Snowpoint is long and treacherous. First, we have to head through a stretch of Mount Coronet to get to Route 216. The route is covered in deep snow, a harbinger of the hell that is about to ensue for Mildew and I. In fact, we ended up losing on this route after accidentally running into a trainer, and I got sent a ways back. So I ended up having to run through Mount Coronet again. Eventually though, we make it safely to the rest house and use that as our base of healing. The rest of the trip isn't too noteworthy. It's a little grindy, but not too awful considering we're 30 plus levels above most of the Pokemon. Then, we see Bruh on top of the cliff that leads to Lake Acuity. Come on Bruh, do a backflip! Instead of pulling off a sick trick, he heads to the lake to stop Team Galactic. We'll check on his progress later because we have a badge to get. My priorities are about as good as Rowan's. We head into the Snowpoint City Gym. This is honestly one of my favorite gym puzzles in the entire series. There's just something so satisfying about smashing through snowballs at top speed and sliding from place to place, then having a straight shot down the middle to Candace. Not the most visually impressive gym, but it managed to survive the Platinum redesigns, so it had a special charm to it. I can't explain it. It's pretty nice. Candace is easier than expected. Granted, I got extremely lucky with her fight. Sneasel went for Aerial Ace instead of Ice Shard while I took advantage of its paralysis to set up. It went down in 1 Mega Drain. Her Piloswine was obviously easy, and I don't think it would have been able to best us even with a priority move. Frostlass is a glass cannon, and when outsped, there's nothing it can do. I was actually surprised that Mildew did outspeed her. I'm just imagining this little bud just running as quickly as possible on its little stubs. Now for Abomasnow. This is where I think I could have gotten stuck. See, Abomasnow's strategy is that it's decently bulky and can take a hit. Then Avalanche hits very hard as a counterattack. Mildew was down in red HP by the end of the first turn, despite Abomasnow having about half health. Without the poison, it still would have been in the green. Next turn, I was able to get another Mega Drain off, leaving the opponent in the red. One more hit from Avalanche could have taken Mildew out, but for some reason, instead of going for the kill, Candace opted to use Woodhammer instead, which is quad resisted, and the recoil was enough to finish it. With that, the Icicle badge is ours. We're finally allowed to use Rock Climb and pursue Bruh. When we get to Lake Acuity, we discovered that he has failed to stop Jupiter and has in fact lost to her in combat. Bruh, my guy, let's have a quick talk. Of all the Team Galactic members, she's the most scantily dressed. Push her into the lake. She doesn't have reinforcements. Who's gonna save her? Just let the hypothermia take hold and there, you win. But of course, this is a Pokemon game, so she gets away unscathed. Next time. Next time. Bruh, distraught by losing, vows to get stronger and leaves. Well, let's just hope he doesn't get too strong, because that final fight before the league could be a difficult one. We backtrack to Veilstone to take on the Team Galactic HQ. Looker lets us go in to investigate with him. Couldn't expect a sensible adult voice from a person who dresses like the 10th Doctor. The fights here are fairly simple, just a typical setup with growth and spam Mega Drain until the opponent goes down. There's nothing too difficult on the way to the top floor, but when we get to Cyrus, it's a different story. Cyrus has become a lot more ruthless than last time, all his Pokemon being 10 levels higher than before. Both his Golbat and Murkrow have evolved, making for a much tougher fight. His Sneasel is still an annoyance, sporting the same moves as last time. It screeches and ice punches just like before. It's difficult to even make it past this Pokemon, let alone Crobat. Mega Drain is doing absolutely nothing to it, and even if it did, I would still have to face off against Honchkrow, which has Drill Peck. This is only the second Cyrus battle, and we still have a harder one in the Distortion world. Come on! Well, guess it's back to the Iron Island grind for us. Please, Pink, help me defeat Team Galactic. Your Bedew's level is high enough. Must grind more! I also go and scoop up the TM for Shadow Ball, as it's a special attack that can hit Crobat for good damage. With the quad resistance out of the way, it should simplify this fight and others tenfold. I probably should have gotten Shadow Ball as soon as I had access to it, but hey, challenges are a learning process. Even with my new levels and Shadow Ball on my side, the fight still proves difficult. Sneasel and Crobat go down fairly easy as long as I find time to set up growth, but the real issue is Honchkrow. Honchkrow can tank at least one hit no matter how much I set up. It always goes for Drill Peck, which absolutely wrecks Mildew each and every time. After numerous attempts, one stroke of good luck was enough to push this fight over the edge and into my favor. Mega Drain critted Sneasel, effectively taking it down in one hit. Okay, then Cyrus sends out his Crobat and only uses Air Cutter, which is special and honestly doesn't do a lot. A relief for me. And then, finally, when he sends out his Honchkrow, a miracle happens. Crit! It's a crit! Hallelujah! It's a crit! The dumb bird goes down in one hit, and we are finally free from Cyrus's wrath.
I come to make an announcement.
We head into the lab to see what's on the slab. Turns out, all the lake spirits are. That's kinda messed up, man. We go to free them, but Saturn stands in our way. In comparison to Cyrus, he's an absolute pushover. Even with an arsenal of potentially dangerous Pokemon, they all fall to Shadow Ball, which absolutely bulldozes any weaknesses that Mega Drain had against them. With Saturn taken down, we release the lake spirits and they disappear. Now it's time for the long haul to the Spear Pillar. The trip through Mount Coronet is long, arduous. Galactic grunts line the cave walls, and all of them have annoying Pokemon. Even with Shadow Ball on our side, it's still tedious, and by the time we hit the peak, we're running low on PP and willpower. I was just waiting for that rival heal, the light at the end of the tunnel. Unfortunately for me though, there are two double battles when I reach the Spear Pillar. One is on my own, which I use my HM slaves in. My Fly Slave just basically stalls out its turns with double teams, while Mildew takes care of the rest. The next double battle is with Jupiter and Mars. Bruh comes to fight by my side. Still though, this isn't enough, as Shadow Ball's PP is depleted, and I guess the AI opts to go for the Pokemon with the weakness, so Mildew gets taken out the first time around. Bruh hardly does anything to help, and we are sent back to the center. After grinding to get back to the Spear Pillar, the battle goes better. Bruh is actually useful this time around and assists me in defeating the Commander pair. He heals my Pokemon a little too late, but better late than never, I suppose. You know, bruh, maybe I misjudged you. Maybe you're actually a super nice dude. You seem to be a fairly competent trainer, and you have a big heart. We should face Cyrus together to end his "It's your show now!" Wow. Alright. Cyrus summons Dialga and Palkia to begin the creation of his new world. For some reason, if you have Desmoom on speed up, the cutscene will not play properly. I was actually scared for a moment that I was in gay baby jail, but after turning off Turbo, the cutscene actually played. I missed half of it, but I still got to see the great part where Giratina jump scares us. All that's left behind is a portal to the distortion world. Cynthia gets up off her butt to come help us. Well, giving us obvious plot details really isn't helping, but sure. Nice to finally see that the most powerful trainer in the region is actually here. We head through the portal and wow, the distortion world is amazing. Visually impressive for a Pokemon game at the time, I'd say. I may be a little bit biased though, as someone who grew up in the DS Pokemon era. I distinctly recall the Platinum trailers back when I was in elementary school, and I was so excited for it, even if I didn't end up playing the game until years after it came out. Though, I'll say this about the Distortion world, it is a bit difficult to get through. Like, it's simple when you do it linearly to the Cyrus fight, but navigating back to the Spear Pillar is an agitating process. The luster of defying gravity and disappearing platforms kind of wears off when you need to go back and get lost for 30 minutes. After finally reaching the bottom, we are greeted by Cyrus. Cyrus confronts Cynthia, and they get into a philosophical debate right in my way. Whip your Pokemon out! You literally have a team that could decimate Cyrus and Giratina. But instead, I have to take Cyrus on with the Budew, and whoo boy! And this is without a doubt the hardest fight in the game. Almost every single one of Cyrus's Pokemon is a counter to Mildew. Not only does he have his regular Pokemon, plus his Sneasel being evolved into a Weavile, but now he has Houndoom and a Gyarados. It's like he deliberately prepared to fight against Mildew. Cyrus opens up the fight with his Houndoom, which resists both of our attacking moves. Flamethrowers are about a 3-hit KO, which significantly narrows our window to set up, especially with the risk of a crit. Not only that, Houndoom loves to burn us, which is annoying for the rest of the fight with chip damage constantly wearing away at Mildew's health, lowering our chances to survive a super effective attack. Even with a Rostberry, there's still a chance to burn again with Flamethrower or Will-O-Wisp. In the few instances when I could get past Houndoom, out comes Honchkrow. 3 of its moves are super effective, as it has Heat Wave and Psychic now, but the physical attacks it has in its moveset, Drill Peck and Night Slash, are the real concerning part of this set. In all the times I attempted this at level 81, I could not get past these 2 Pokemon. It was time for a new approach. And that new approach is getting the hell out of Dodge. You deal with him, Cynthia. I'm done. Actually do your job. Alright. That's not the end of the challenge. It's not over until I deem it impossible. We haven't exhausted all of our resources yet. One of the biggest problems we're having is Mildew's moveset. Budew, unfortunately, doesn't have a great selection of moves, but TM-wise, it granted can learn a few things. Now, I'll admit that I should have started collecting TMs and giving them to Mildew earlier on, and I had the Sludge Bob TM this entire time, but hey, I love making things harder on myself. I went back to Route 209 and scooped up the Giga Drain TM to up the power of our health stealing move. Sorry, Mega Drain. You were useful while it lasted. I also went to Veilstone to check out what hidden power I had. And it turns out, my lovely Mildew had something that would have made this run easier ages ago. Hidden power fighting. The stars aligned, and now I could finally fight back against Cyrus's team. Now, granted, Sludge Bomb probably would have had the same effect in the long run, it being more powerful and actually being a stab move, but for some reason, it was just left to collect dust in my bag. After picking up a coin case from a clown, I went and bought enough coins to obtain hidden power from the prize corner. With the TMs I needed in hand, I taught them to Mildew and headed back to fight Cyrus once again. This time I was luckier, but I didn't have what I needed to beat him. I experimented with different items, mostly between the Rost and Citrus berries, but to no avail. Even though Houndoom went down much easier with a super effective attack against it, it still was the only Pokemon I could safely set up on, rendering Mildew with low health impossibly burned. Honchkrow was still a problem with Drill Peck. Though I got to his Crobat and the thing goes down in one hit, it still outspeeds Mildew, and it uses Air Slash. While usually not enough to kill, there is still a chance to flinch, which leaves Mildew open for another attack, and for the burn to hurt him if he has one. I got to his Weavile once, and I was on low health by then. It used Fake Out, and caused Mildew to faint. After trying the battle a few more times, and mostly getting walled by Houndoom and Honchkrow, I knew that I had to take drastic measures. This was going to happen eventually anyway. I left Cynthia and Cyrus once again to return to my place of training, Iron Island. Wow, Riley is super patient with me. Luckily, this will be the last time I need to come to this place to train, as this is the final stretch in Mildew's journey to level 100. I trained Mildew all the way up to level 87, and now it's time to go seek out all the rare candies I can find to finish off its final few levels. Wait, now that you're done training, can you please help me get Team Galactic out of here? Sorry, Riley. I've got a world to save. By the time I picked up about enough to get Mildew to 100, I'd almost made it to level 88 between missed trainer battles and such, so I just decided to grind it up the rest of the way to level 88 so I wouldn't have to go pick up another rare candy. What? I'm a bit lazy, I know. With that, I started feeding Mildew the 12 rare candies and watched the levels go up. Good thing I mostly played this game at night. I don't think I could have kept pressing the B button over and over again every time Mildew leveled up. Why do you have to like me? Why can't you be more like Tabasco?
I will destroy your bloodline if you ever bring me up again, you cretin. Allow me to rot in peace.
At long last, Mildew has finally reached his maximum level. There is no more we can do besides maybe teach him a few moves, but I don't do that. Instead, I head straight for the Cyrus fight once again. It's do or die time. Either it's possible, or it's not. And the first time's a charm. With his newfound awakened power, Mildew is able to sweep through Cyrus's whole team without the aid of growth. Most things go down in one hit, others in two, but it doesn't take long before he's down. Now, we're finally able to advance the plot of the game. Now, it's time to face Giratina. As our little bud stands face to face with the ruler of the underworld, the renegade angel itself, Hades, Lucifer, Beelzebub, the box art legend. The winner of this battle is clear. Mildew, with 2 Shadow Balls.
Got him!
With Giratina being defeated, we begin to head out of the distortion world. Cyrus effectively damns himself to an eternity in hell, and Cynthia and I leave. She expresses that I should go see Professor Rowan because he must be worried about me. Sure, now he's worried after sending me on several dangerous missions. I've been through hell and back. Literally. But we have to go see him or else we can't progress the game. I get literally nothing out of the conversation with him except seeing the fear in his eyes of my mother suing him for child endangerment. Trust me, we have a past with it. With all that out of the way, we can finally head towards our final badge. I avoided all unnecessary trainers along the way, as fighting them would be a waste of time. Mildew has already reached level 100 and squared off with Satan. He is a perfect being. We're finally at Sunyshore City. You know, this place is called Sunyshore, like it's some happy haven, but why in the world is everybody here depressed? Like, we literally have to get Volkner, the town gym leader, out of his depression by battling him. And In case you didn't know, Sunyshore was also Cyrus's hometown. What's going on beneath the surface that is making these people into miserable adults? This place needs to start funding mental health. It's a pretty straightforward process, though I do go back to heal once or twice because of paralysis and PP, but other than that, it's a straight shot to our final badge. One growth and it was over. Giga Drain absolutely eviscerated all of his Pokemon. Even though Jolteon got a paralysis off, Mildew didn't get stunned once. Even when Raichu used a Signal Beam and got a Parafusion off, it was over. Mildew pulled through. As I said, a perfect being, a warrior of Arceus himself. Apparently, the touch of Mildew's sheer power was enough to heal Volkner's depression. Thanks, man. But I think you should really see a therapist. With our last badge in hand, it's time to head towards the Pokemon League. Before we can start our trek though, we run into Jasmine, the Clang Steel-type gym leader from Johto. She gives us the Waterfall HM so we can advance the game. Then she heads back to Johto to get her butt kicked by Yolko. After scaling the waterfall, we're ready to head through Victory Road. There's no particular challenge here, though there was this totally annoying Blissey that walled me. I beat it eventually, but god was it annoying. Now, we're finally at the League. After stocking up on some items we can use to heal between fights, we start to head towards the badge check, but we are stopped by Bra for a final time. I was legitimately concerned about this last rival battle. This battle showcases a team of tough, fully evolved Pokemon that could potentially stop Mildew dead in his tracks. Well, it was nothing of the sort. With one growth, I was ready to sweep his whole team. Now I didn't have only one attacking move, and instead, I had a little something for everyone. A hidden power for Staraptor, a Shadow Ball for his Infernape, a pair of Giga Drains for Snorlax, an Oil Tanker for you, a Shadow Ball for Heracross, a Giga Drain for Floatzel, and a final finishing Shadow Ball for Roserade. The team that had once plagued me with promises of tough battles to come was no longer. Mildew has truly achieved his final form. With Bra taken care of for the last time and Mildew fully healed, we're ready to take on the Elite Four. This part of the game was highly concerning for me because 3 of the Elite Four have Pokemon that are super effective against Mildew, and if just one Pokemon completely stopped us from progressing, that would be it. It would be game over. First off is Aaron, the Bugmaster of the Sinnoh League. He used cool and powerful bugs before Guzma made it popular. I did my typical growth setup on Yanmega, as all it really does is double team. I was actually doing pretty well in my first attempt, but his Vespiquen proved just bulky enough to live a hit, and it finished Mildew with an attack order. Though, on the second attempt, I set up sufficiently so I could take Vespiquen out in one hit. The rest of the team is an easy sweep, and with that, one of our obstacles is down. The next member of the Elite Four is the nice ground-type user version of Agatha. Seriously, Bertha looks like a sweet old granny who gives you candy, while Agatha looks like she'd hit you with her cane. Why do they look so alike? Even Chantal noticed that. Oh god, they're becoming aware that Game Freak is recycling parts of characters. Anyway, this fight is nothing. The only scary thing was her Gliscor, but I might have been able to take it out in one hit even without the growth. I just wanted to take precautions. With that, her battle is done, and I don't even have to heal for the next fight. Thanks for giving me your Pokemon's HP, Granny. Next up is Flint. This fight, I was really worried about. And justifiably so. Flint has an arsenal of hard-hitting fire-type Pokemon. He leads with a Houndoom that has Sunny Day, a dangerous move that powers up the rest of his fire Pokemon's attacks. Houndoom is a tough foe on its own, but combining that with the rest of his team, it proves straight up difficult. The real threat though is his Magmortar, which has enough bulk to withstand a Shadow Ball and ultimately take us out with a Flamethrower. I debated on going back to the move relearner to replace one of my moves with Water Sport, but decided against it. No, I had gotten this far and I wasn't about to give up. After numerous attempts, trying out different items several times, a miracle finally happened. I set up a growth on his Houndoom during its Sunny Day turn. After that, I managed to take it out with a hidden power. Then, Flareon missed several turns worth of attacks, allowing me to effectively set up on it. After that, it was a sweep. Not even Magmortar could withstand a supercharged Shadow Ball from Mildew. The stroke of luck had pulled us through Flint's fight. Now, it's on to Lucian. I was a little worried about this fight, as Psychic Pokemon have an advantage over Mildew due to his poison typing. Ironically enough, this fight was easy as Bertha's. In fact, I forgot to heal from Flint's fight, and I still won. His Espeon did pack a powerful Psychic attack, but ultimately couldn't cut it. Lucian is beaten. Now, there's only one more fight that's ahead of us. The most powerful trainer in the Sinnoh region. The champion herself, Cynthia. I actually remember to heal this time, and without further delay, we head into the champion's room. Hey Cynthia, get your lazy butt up and fight me. Do I have to? It's considered a forfeit if you don't, and therefore the champion title goes to me. Alright, if you say so. We take her on. She leads with Spiritomb as always. She attempts to Psychic us out, but Mildew isn't having it. As I said, Budew has surprisingly solid special defense. After setting up 3 growths, the sweep begins. She sends out her Togekiss next, which was the only Pokemon of hers I was truly worried about due to its fair amount of bulk. One hidden power doesn't cut it, as suspected, but luckily Togekiss couldn't dish out enough damage to stop Mildew. It goes down on the next turn. Garchomp, which I thought could outspeed us, crumbles to a single Giga Drain. Roserade goes down to a single Shadow Ball. I take advantage of her Milotic's high health to gain my own back, effectively making a joke out of one of the scariest and bulkiest Pokemon on Cynthia's team. Finally, it's Mildew versus Lucario. I go for Shadow Ball instead of Hidden Power for some reason, probably because I forgot, because Steel no longer resists Ghosts in later gens, which allows Lucario to go for a move. He goes for Stone Edge like a fool and misses. One Shadow Ball later, and it's down. Cynthia is finally defeated. Mildew has taken on the Sinnoh League all on his own, and he has beaten it. He has overcome many challenges, and as we stand together on the Hall of Fame screen, a girl and her forever budding rose, we feel that sweet victory. As the credits roll, the relief rushes in. We did it. We made it. Now for a recap. Question of the video. Can you beat Pokemon Platinum with only Budew? Yes! It was a breath of fresh air to actually have a truly challenging challenge. A lot of Pokemon challenges ride on brute force and luck towards the end. And even though that there were some points that were very luck-based, I felt that this challenge was a good mix of both. I'm gonna be honest though, whereas I recorded both of my previous challenges over a course of a day or two, I had to take a lot of breaks from this one. It was frustrating at times, especially with the Cyrus fights. Sometimes it felt almost impossible, and even though I've praised, the mix of strategic planning and luck in this, there were instances where it was very luck-based. That being said, allow me to critique this run a bit. What would have made this feat far easier is if I would have gotten the TMs as soon as I had access to them. I literally could have obtained Shadow Ball right before the first Cyrus fight, which would have made it a heck of a lot easier. I also left the Sludge Bomb TM in my bag to collect dust. In retrospect, I probably should have opted for Sludge Bomb rather than Hidden Power, and if you try this run, I recommend you do the same, especially if your Hidden Power is something that is not useful. All in all, that's really the only thing I would have changed about this run. Well, actually, those Cyrus fights had me regretting not getting a defense increasing nature, though I figured an all-out offensive strategy might be better. Towards the end it was, but man, during those rage quit periods, I was hating myself for not getting bold. If you do this challenge for yourself, maybe try it out with this suggestion. I'd like to see what the results are. Anyway, that's all I really have to say. Leave a like, subscribe, comment down below what challenge you'd like to see in the future. I have a compilation of the challenges that have been recommended to me in a document, and I am adding every single suggestion I get to it. Hit me with your craziest, cruelest, most grueling challenges that you want to see. For now, I'm out. Stay cool, peace out, have a great day. I'll see you all in the next one. Oh, and don't forget to ring that bell to get notified about the next challenge.